Captain America as a media personality. Let's just consider some of these characters media personalities. It didn't catch fire until Chris Evans signed up for that movie. During the 80s, the Captain America character fizzled out in Marvel Comics. Roughly 50 years of storytelling fizzled out in the 80s, and the character was dragged through the 90s. But when we're in the 90s, we get Uncanny X-Men 268. Jim Lee and Chris Claremont. And they tell a story of Wolverine in the past. Logan. He's not even Wolverine yet. And he runs into Steve Rogers. And they go on a ninja killing romp. It gets animated. February 22, 1997. Sculpted and a little bit better. More of a resolution, more of a plot. But we're dealing with 22 minutes of entertainment. We have to end it. Comic books continue, so we always expect more month to month. It's a different environment. So let's get into when a generation learned that Captain America had a true history with the other Marvel characters.
Quiet on the set.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take 1.
Action!
And here we go, aka Patters. I'm loving this Captain America deep dive. Because here's the wild thing. I'm recording this episode and then I'm watching this episode. Isn't that crazy? A lot of times I try and educate myself as much as possible before over education. Watching things 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. I'm walking through the city, going from one office to the next, one building to the next, and I have these things playing in my ears, memorizing. It's obsessive, but that's what the AKAPAD Film Buff podcast, this is why we're different here. We're not just trying to give you a complete view of something, but me, myself, Peter A. DeLuca, I'm educating myself, and you guys are all along with me. So I apologize if sometimes online, if I am just short and concise, but I feel like to get to the root of some of this stuff, you have to be short and concise. That's what she said. February 22, 1997, episode 73, the last season, season 5. 73 total, episode 7 of season 5. Old soldiers. We even have an animated Red Skull yet again in this. Captain America hooks up with Wolverine, but he's Logan. Black costume, stealth. And for a lot of people, you got this idea that Captain America could be there for the origin or pre-origin of every single Marvel property. This was very interesting and, dare I say, mind-blowing to a generation that, up until this point, up until 1997, you last saw Captain America in the early 80s. And before that, you saw Captain America in the 40s. You had 2 TV movies that were long gone, largely forgotten. You couldn't go buy them. I had to wait for those TV movies to get released at Suncoast Video and order them from a catalog, because you could have a catalog. So I would just get a different catalog every time I was at Suncoast and just memorize it. And then in 1990, 7 years prior, you had what could have been a follow-up to Michael Keaton's Batman. So you would have Tim Burton, Michael Keaton one summer, The Dark Knight. Next summer you would get Captain America. That movie never came out, was shown on Sci-Fi once or twice, and then faded away yet again. Now people are circulating, they're comparing the costume for that movie to St. Wilson's costume and just saying the 1990 that's not even close to being true. The two of them photographed very, very differently. But it's just fun when people get those memes out there because it just reminds us of the media that came and went. This was the most impactful media story of Captain America up until this time. People got interested and they went to this issue. A lot of people I know got into comics when they made the connection that Captain America was there through all of it. And now, when it comes to overarching storyline, like the story itself, okay, what happened with Captain America as a character, that never really happened, which is insanely shocking to me. Because the groundwork was there. Who knows if the discussion was ever had. I get it. Captain America is frozen for a chunk of time. He's frozen potentially through the origin of some of these characters. But Captain America is also the 0.0 of all. So, for example, when Peter Parker first dons Spider-Man, when he first puts on the costume, Captain America should be there. But movie-wise, it becomes Tony Stark and Iron Man, and it kind of fits. The MCU made this leadership or this mentor aspect fit for Peter Parker. But the real position is Captain America. He is a soldier. Superheroes, in a way, are fighting a war against evil and villainy. It's a perfect combination. Captain America, Uncanny X-Men, 268. Let me just get what year this sucker came out. I want to say 93, 94. And I'm not having any luck digging it up. It's right now in, I guess, like a decent grade. It's relatively a $30 comic, maybe $50. Here's one on Amazon that says it came out in the year 2000. That is hilarious. Let me just get the year. Give me one moment. Yeah, wow, 1990. So 7 years later, it would get animated. You want to say, because at this time too, Marvel had a schism with the formation of Image Comics, and they didn't like using any of the comics or the design work as reference and source material for this time. But Jim Lee gave us one of the all-time comic book covers. He gave us some of the all-time Captain America and Wolverine images. Within the comic, Black Widow is also a major character. But Old Soldiers introduced this idea that a lot of people gravitated towards, which was like a pre-history to Marvel Comics. A secret history, a hidden history, and characters like Wolverine and Captain America, which are timeless characters within that universe because they're, somewhat immortal, can bob and weave through everything. Now, when it comes to Wolverine, it's far easier for Wolverine and better to be a guy in the shadows, and you can kind of come and go during any historical event or comic book historical event. You can put Wolverine literally anywhere, even in plot lines and epics or crossovers that he has no business being around. Captain America, on the other hand, is a little bit strategic, a little bit more targeted, because his origin and how he got to where he is pretty clear cut. But I don't know, AK Powders. I know a lot of you out there ignore season 5. This is where we had a studio shift. A different studio came in and was able to do and wrap up or continue the series with a lower budget. That didn't work out, but the series was always also fizzling out at this time. Believe it or not, a little bit of comic book trivia. Right at this time, Fox was positioning Mark Silvestri, who is also a fantastic X-Men artist, maybe the greatest X-Men artist next to John Byrne. Mark Silvestri had a book for Image Comics called Cyberforce. We detailed this on my YouTube, Top Cow Tuesday. X-Men, the anime series, was supposed to be, that time slot, to be taken over by Cyberforce. That didn't happen, which is nuts. But this episode, highly significant. It's not quite there. It's a lower quality than the previous seasons, but I recommend checking it out and viewing this in the context that there's a lot of individuals, a lot of future readers, even future comic book collectors that see this, and they go to the comic shop and they buy that Uncanny X-Men issue, and it clicks for them. And that's why stories like this are very important. I mean, I would even say this episode is wow, it's actually 3 episodes away from the final episode, Graduation Day. I would say that this episode is the most significant episode in the entire X-Men series, because it drives readership and it drives that curiosity. Guys, rock and roll. Captain America. We love Cap over here. Let's go.
Okay, that's a wrap.